Hello and welcome. This video is called the ACS Skills Assessment Q&A November 2025 Part 1. In this video, I'll be answering three questions, general in nature, not to be taken as immigration advice. Question number one, what is the process and requirements for ACS Skills Assessment specifically for freelancers? The profile is a mix of work experience as well as ID qualifications. So they have a bachelor's in software engineering, 4-year degree, apparently overseas, and then experience 10 years in mobile or web development, remote freelancer since 2015. And the current work is a full-time remote freelancer for an Australian company, 40 hours a week for the last 2 years. Again, it could be overseas work experience because they're mentioning for an Australian company. It is unknown. That is the limited information we have. And all they asked is the process and requirements for ACS skills assessment for freelancers. So there is some guidance for freelancers directly from ACS in its info hub, and it falls under the experience requirements. When they talk about freelance experience, which is like a contractor or a sole trader, and then they need formal statements from the companies on letterheads detailing the entirety of the experience claimed with dates and hours per week. They also need payment evidence like client invoices paid with matching bank statements, if not tax records. The idea is to show income, consistent, steady income from self employment. So, the challenges the applicants are facing are with invoices and statements from the companies without having number of hours per week. The usual case scenario is that the applicants might have done the work, but not in terms of number of hours per week, but task based. They could get a lump sum for a particular task, but the company or the client wouldn't bother about how many hours they took. And sometimes it might not match the market salary rate. Again, that could be a challenge when the applicants apply for ACS skills assessment. So, although there is a process and requirements listed in black and white, you should explain your case if you're not meeting all the requirements. Comparatively, the bar to reach is a bit high if the experience is freelance as opposed to the paid employment from an employer where you get the tax documents, you get the provident fund or superannuation or any other third party payment evidence, and you get a nice employment reference letter with detailed roles. Question number two, does the position title affect the outcome? What if the job role and title don't match up? What if the role titles vary across, but the day to day duties align well with the target and scope code? So these are two questions put into one and probably from two different applicants. The answer to this is position titles are not only the factor that ACES looks at, there are other factors. And sometimes it's possible for the company to have a different job title and the roles which do not really align to the position title. However, if you can justify that, and if it's a usual case scenario in that particular company, and if that company is well known and it is obvious that the company has got different titles and all the duties under different titles are not same, then that's a good argument. For example, a company like TCS. But if it's a small company and the role looks a bit different to what they do, and there is no scope of that position title in that company based on its services or products, then it raises doubts. Also, if the position title is a direct match to the ANSCO code, for example, ICT security specialist, if the employee asks the employer to create a position title for them so that they can nominate ICT security specialist, even if the company doesn't have a scope for a cybersecurity professional, then again, that will be counterproductive. So the answer is no, the position title doesn't have to be the same as the ANSCO code or be a direct match. And it is okay if the day to day duties align with the ANSCO code but not align with the position title. However, there should be a scope for that position title to do these roles. Remember, there are also skills that they look at. It's not just roles and the position title. There are also skills that they look at. That is where the SFIA framework is crucial, and that is what ACS is using in its website. Help applicants to select skills, and then the system will populate the recommended occupations. The system is not asking you for position titles, but it is asking you for skills. So skills is what is the most important keyword. And in the future, we will have what is called as a national skills taxonomy. JSA is working on it, and you can look at JSA website what they might call a skill. So they're trying to get a definition for skill. Right now, ACS is relying on SFIA, Skills Framework for Information Age, to determine what skills match what and score codes. Question number 3 is about deduction. So there's a question from an applicant who says they have 5 years of overseas IT experience followed by Australian master's degree in IT. They're currently undertaking a professional year. And regarding ACS, the question is, will they still deduct? Means, will ACS still deduct 2 years from the experience, or will the full 5 years be accepted? This is where we need to determine what kind of application it is. In ACS, you've got several application types, and the 3 application types good for PR are RPL, recognition of prior learning, and then general skills, and then post-Australian study. Post-Australian study doesn't take experience before the degree is finished. It only considers the experience after the Australian degree is finished. So maybe because there is overseas IT experience for this applicant, maybe they are looking at general skills. And in general skills, to understand the deduction, you need to look at the skill level requirement met date and a few examples. So ACS gives definition of skill level requirement met date from its information hub or info hub page. And then they say that the work experience required to meet the suitability criteria is not included as skilled employment. So they are talking about the deduction. So they deduct some years of experience, at least 2, if it's a general skills application pathway. So there is also an example given to understand how they do it. And a real-time example is something that we can discuss. It came again from the same Facebook group called ACS Skills Assessment for Australian PR, where all these questions have been taken. So one of the applicants said ACS has assessed their skills against the requirements of developer programmer as of 2nd December 2014, even though their experience starts from 2010. So it looks like ACS must have deducted 4 years from the overall experience. They need to understand whether they have a lot of experience which spanned over 10 years, or whether they have only experience less than 10 years, and whether the qualification that they have used is an ICT major and closely related to nominated occupation, or not closely related to nominated occupation. Because if it's not, then 4 years deduction applies. And if it's more than 10 years, again 4 years applies, regardless whether the qualification is related or not related to the nominated occupation. It's important to understand skill level requirement met date is different for different application types. General skills has got at least 2 years of deduction. And in general skills application pathway, experience before the qualification is accepted. But in post-Australian study, the skill level requirement met date is beneficial to the applicant because there's no deduction after the qualification in the experience, but the experience must be after the qualification. So they are giving more weightage to Australian qualifications, and that is why there's no deduction after the Australian qualification in post-Australian study. So the applicants will get benefit by studying Australian degrees. That brings an end to this video. My name is Sujit Billa, registered migration agent here in Australia. If you're after immigration advice, simply go to my website sujittalks.au and schedule an initial consultation session. For all general information, go to YouTube channel Sujit Talks and click on that subscribe button.